So today we're going to be talking about 5 cards that, well, should probably get printed by Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is, honestly, just a video to kind of bring up to speed. There are a lot of good generic cards that we are just missing at this stage of the game. And you know, Cyberknight used to do a please print series. Well, please print these 5 Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards so that I can have a little bit more generic diversity in my day. Let's dig on into this, please, and show me some love in this video. We might do some more top 5s dedicated to cards that should be printed. Let's dig on into this, shall we? Number 1 on our list here is called Whiteout. Interesting. As you see, we got a beautiful snow cloud going on here. Negate the effects of monsters your opponent controls that target a card or cards in their hand, their graveyard, or their side of the field. So right off the bat here, you have a continuous trap card, by the way, that includes some sort of negation effect for the opponent. Now this card did show up in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, but basically this is just going to be a generic trap card that shot off effects that basically would target no Monster Reborn, no Premature Burial, no Call of the Haunted, none of that stuff. So basically we've managed to make a generic-esque card that a little bit reminiscent of Necro Valley, but this would be an excellent side card to the competitive scene. Just one, it's a trap card. We always could use more good generic trap cards, and basically also getting the additional clauses of targeting things on the field and in the hand. Yeah, that would be a very interesting clause. I'm also kind of curious to see how they would rule this with some of the cool interactions and stuff, i.e. one of those being equipped spells. You guys typically know how that goes, but just stupid things that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players ask 101. So yes, very fantastic addition that we could see to the competitive season of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's one of the things I wanted, was a card that would make the competitive scene a lot better, and Whiteout definitely fits that bill for me. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Cross your fingers with me, alright? Good side deck card. Number 2 on our list of things that we need is the Negative Energy Generator. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this. This showed up in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day with a very simple spell card effect that says select one face-up dark monster you control, triple its original attack. I don't even remember any other reference to this card at any other stage in the game, but this feels like this is acceptable. Alright, Dark Magician, 7,500 attack points. Imagine the beatdown for this. Alright, this is something that I could imagine them making, but if this card ever actually gets made, I think that the downside that we will probably see with it is we'll probably get a very simple restriction on it, not just being only dark. Unfortunately, a card like this, in terms of current modern day design, is a little bit more limited in its durability because, you know, by making this, you know, you're basically putting a cap on how you can design an entire archetype. Any simple card like this, you know, i.e. High Priestess of Prophecy, being a spell card also kind of hindering on into things. And it's not even an equip card, by the way. It's just a literal normal spell card. Alright, so you might have to change it into an equip card if you were to make this, but unfortunately the literal downside to this is you are putting a fundamental lock on how you can design your archetype, and we already know from R&D and things like that over the years that limiting yourself in terms of initial design and things like that is never a good thing. Try not to put a cap on design, but it would be nice to have this card being one of the more iconic cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? From the first episode? Alright. Next up we have Rebirth Judgement. So this is another continuous trap card. I love what they've done with these continuous trap cards. So when you activate this card, declare one card, or one type. All monster in any graveyard are treated as the declared type. And this shows up in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX episodes over time. So basically, I wanted this card because having more of like a DNA surgery-esque effect, but globally on the graveyard, doesn't seem like a terrible thing to me. Being able to, you know, overload fusion your entire graveyard out for, you know, your entire archetype doesn't seem like a terrible bad thing to me. But it also lets you change it to anything, alright? You're not limited to the scope of just the simplistic here. You can do anything that you want with this trap card. The downside is it's a trap card. It's continuous. The interesting part here is it's all monsters in both graveyards, not just restricted to you. So basically you can cheese your opponent out of the game with this if they need to, say, revive something from their graveyard of a specific attribute, you know, one of those being like Adamancipator or zombie-esque cards or something like that. I definitely think that in terms of design, this isn't bad. Definitely for more of the generic purposes, though, turning things into, you know, machines in the graveyard definitely seems to fit more of the generic bill for this. So definitely an interesting card nonetheless. Once again, I don't think that this would have as much of an impact as, say, Whiteout or Negative Energy, but more generic options being available to the game is not necessarily a bad thing. But Negative Energy is a yikers. Triple, by the way. Next up here, we have a manga card, and it is Protection of the Elements. This is a trap card, by the way. So, and it is a counter trap card, so this is a big one for you hero players. So every other archetype has essentially a counter trap card. Even the Cynet monsters, the coders, have a, what is it, Cynet conflict? So exclude one elemental hero monster from play to negate the activation of opponent's spell or trap card. This does not include monster effect, by the way. So this kind of is reminiscent of Last Stand for Magibullet. And then the excluded hero returns to the field during the turn's end phase. So let me bring this up to speed for you here in layman terms, since this is a manga effect. So remove from play one elemental hero monster that you control from play. Negate the activation of an opponent's spell or trap card and destroy it. And that's the activation. And then during the end phase of the turn, the elemental hero returns back to the field. This is not a generic trap card for all heroes. This is specifically limited to elemental hero, which means in the scope of your fusions, you will probably use this with Sunrise or something in terms of modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! It also does not stop your stupid monster effects. So basically, at most, I see that if this card actually got made here, that this would be used as mainly a negate in the side deck. You'll probably board this in. This is also not searchable because of the name protection of the elements. You don't have a hard way to search this. And I don't think that most modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks would want to play this. But once again, this would be a great addition to the hero line as it is, just for side deck options. Alright, I definitely would like to see some sort of means to kind of make this a little bit more viable here. Now, the last one we have here is Infernity Zero. And so many players have screamed for this card for the years. So when your opponent activates a card or effect that inflict damage while your life points are 2,000 or less, you can discard all other cards in your hand to special summon this card from hand. You do not lose the duel, even if your life points become 0. If you have no cards in your hand, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. For each time you take damage, place one death counter on this card. When you have 3 death counters on this card, destroy this card. We have already seen in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That there are very few effects far in between that avoid the simple clause of simply losing the game. But this is Infernity that we are talking about, alright? A simple card that just denies you the chance to die, especially with a niche, you know, of being underneath a certain amount of life, is not a bad thing. I would simply just like to see this card come to the game so we have more effects generically pandered to this style of duel. But alas, I do not think we will be getting Infernity Zero anytime soon, as we can simply just, well, we could 1-for-1 this out of the deck. Doesn't do much, but, you know, we can 1-for-1 it out and basically sit on some really interesting interactions for the game. But interesting is interesting. So guys, these are 5 cards that I found of interest that I just generically want to talk about. Ragnarok was on that list of things, but that'll be a story, well, for another day. So guys, please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think about these, and well guys, I'm out. Peace. Thank you, patrons, for making the ride never truly end. Without you guys' support, well, I would probably be doing Truffle Shuffle videos for a living. Guys, please check out VanCole40 for all of your Cardfight Vanguard content brought to you by MCole40. And if you are looking to pick up singles, check out mcolegames.com for your trading card game needs. Thanks for watching, everybody.